will you rule out forcibly removing the protesters, the people from the area?
No, I will never rule that out.
Joining us now is Police Commissioner Andrew Coster. Good morning.
Good morning, Ryan.
How are your officers doing who were injured yesterday?
Yeah, they're doing okay, thank you. They're very fortunate. We've had some appalling tactics by some around this protest, and our people are just doing an amazing job in really tough conditions.
The gentleman you arrested who drove the car, he was one of the protesters?
Yeah, I can't say too much about that when it's before the court, but just to acknowledge there are a whole wide range of risks for our people in this situation when we're applying tactics particularly, and that's top of mind for us in terms of how we safely resolve this whole piece.
Because you might be aware of the statement that the protest organisers have put out in which they condemn the violence that happened yesterday. They're kind of distancing themselves from it, but they're raising a whole bunch of issues about it. I'm just wondering whether you have seen this statement and what your thoughts are on it.
Look, part of the problem here, yes, we have people who are protesting a legitimate issue, but they've created a situation where these behaviours can play out. And so whilst they might not be responsible for them themselves, the situation is of their making. And the situation as it sits is impacting the university, it's impacting public transport. And so we're looking to them to actually affect change, and we're beginning to worry that they may be unable to.
So you're saying that you're putting the illegal actions on the peaceful protesters?
I'm not putting it on them. I'm just saying the situation as a whole is enabling those behaviours to occur. So regardless of who's doing them, the nature of the way this is playing out means those things are possible. So
you're saying to the peaceful protesters this morning, if you clear out, then the illegal activity will stop?
Well, that without a doubt is true. Our focus is on restoring the ability...
Is it? What makes you think that those people who are there to cause trouble will leave once the peaceful people do?
The scale of the situation is what's creating the challenge for resolution. And if the bulk of the crowd who believe they're there for a legitimate reason takes the decision either to walk away or to allow police to tighten up on the boundaries of this and to enable this protest to be conducted lawfully, then we will be able to address the unlawful behaviours that sit around the edge of it.
OK, interesting. And the operations that you've been running, are you planning more? Will we see more concrete blocks going in or a tightening of that boundary?
This is a day-by-day thing, but our focus is on shrinking the impact of this protest. As I've said, I'm really concerned about the university. We've got thousands of students whose study is now being disrupted because of this. Access to the bus terminus and the public transport hub there for Wellington, that's where our big focus is, and we want to see that ground returned. OK,
there's a lot of talk about the last 48 hours and what's happened, and obviously there's a lot of cameras on this particular area as well. So can we bust some myths here this morning? The protesters say that they have been infiltrated by outside forces who want to make them look bad. Do you have evidence to suggest that's the case?
I have heard suggestion that that's the case, but I've got no evidence to say that's the case.
OK, so as far as you're aware, everybody who is doing bad stuff in Wellington at the moment is a protester?
Oh, look, I think that'd be a step too far. There's always a baseline of offending that happens around any city.
But no, yeah, I mean to do with the protests. Yeah,
within the protest, absolutely, the behaviour that is occurring is either being done by people who have joined the protest, or it is being enabled because the protest is there in the form that it is.
Are you aware of anyone either conducting illegal activity or protesters having earpieces in their ears?
I can't speak to the specifics of that. Obviously, the protest has set up its own security. They are probably communicating that way, but I can't speak to the detail of that.
OK. Can you tell us what was sprayed in the police officer's eyes? Do you know what the substance was?
I can't say with confidence yet what that was, but it was a stinging substance. Fortunately, those staff are OK. They got really early medical treatment, but it does highlight the hazards for our people any time we go and engage in a confrontational way like that.
You can't say definitively what's the working theory?
Look, when we can confirm, if we can, we will, but I just don't want to speculate until I've had some confirmation.
Was it pepper spray?
I don't believe that it was, but we are looking at what it was. We believe it was a liquid thrown at police.
Okay, and it was thrown at police by somebody. Do you know who that person was? Have you arrested them?
I do not believe that we have arrested anybody yet for that, but obviously investigation's continuing.
But you're absolutely certain it came from somebody else. It wasn't police accidentally, spraying something on each other.
I don't believe that it was. I can't say with certainty. When we can confirm, we will. But we have seen a range of behaviours directed at police that are very concerning, the throwing of human waste. All of that increases the hazard and adds to my previous point that this protest is enabling a range of things to occur that are completely unreasonable and unfair.
Yeah, I think we'd agree with that. The sexual assault allegations that Assistant Commissioner Richard Chambers mentioned yesterday, you've had complaints of sexual assault?
Look, I am unsure exactly the origin of that. There are a range of things that are suggested. We always look for proof of these things, and the concern here is within the grounds of this protest, there is not normal policing activity occurring. So for people who are in there, they are more vulnerable than they would be in the normal community. And we've got a range of people in there, be it children, other people from vulnerable parts of our community. We are really concerned to make sure that public safety is maintained.
Okay. Just very quickly before we go, obviously Wellingtonians around that area have had enough. Will you rule out forcibly removing the protesters, the people from the area?
No, I will never rule that out because in the end we need to be able to take decisions day by day. We remain of the view that de-escalation is the most appropriate thing to do here. But a city cannot keep operating as it is for a long time, and we are looking for ground to be given back so that the university can resume, so that public transport can resume normally, so that businesses can function normally.
All right, we really appreciate your time this morning as always.